All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we have the season opener for the Area 51 Indy Series. Tonight we've got the Maconi Setup Shop 200. So make sure everything's working. As I had a little power surge just to make things even more crazy for us here tonight. So I have with me in the booth and in the car actually is that number 051 tonight of Steve Gottschalk. So Steve, I know you've been running some laps here, so we're gonna hop on board with your car here tonight and take us through a qualifying lap here tonight at Kansas.
Okay, I ran quite a few qual laps trying to figure out what was the right line, and I think I found it. The one thing I don't know yet is whether fifth gear or sixth gear is the best. So my last attempt was in fifth, and I did a 224. So now I'm going to try it in sixth and see what that does. So here we go, exiting the pit road. And just to make sure my time doesn't count, going right up onto the track. Okay, one thing I did discover, when you're by yourself in the qual setup, it's flat out all the way around.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And that's gonna be something we'll talk about, of course, is that aero push with these cars. It's gonna be all about putting your car in the right position, keeping that clean air on that front wing. But you're exactly right though. Right now, it's gonna be all for you, just kind of trying to run that line and keep that momentum up.
So I can go high or low anywhere I want and flat out. But I can tell you that when I was out there with other cars with the race setup, you could do that sort of in 3 and 4, but you can't do it in 1 and 2. 1 and 2, you really get the aero push.
So you don't get a real sense for the speed that you're going through here, Steve. But I'm sure, especially when you're by yourself too, it's probably not as crazy as you might think it could be. However, when you're in that pack of cars, I'm sure that's where that sense of speed really kicks off for you.
And I have no idea what my lap was.
That's all right. We at least have an idea of what the lap would look like here at Kansas Motor Speedway.
So I can still run some more laps if you want.
Well, actually, before we do that, I want to go over some of what we got going on tonight here with the Area 51 Racing League. So we'll go over our track info for tonight's event. All right, so as I mentioned there, tonight is the Maconi Setup Shop 200 here at Kansas Speedway. So Jeff Maconi sponsoring the race tonight. And so it's going to be 200 miles, 133 laps is going to be the race distance this evening. And so things to look out for. It's going to be night race, Steve. So track temperature and ambient temperature is going to be nice and cool. 78 degrees ambient, 78 degrees at the track temp. Partly cloudy. So everything's going to be looking pretty nice on that side of things for the drivers here this evening.
Okay, I have some bad news. I can't run any more laps. I ran out of gas.
Oh no! Yeah, that's a good point actually. The running out of gas part definitely comes into play here, and so we'll see. We'll jump over to that car of Jeff Maconi. So I was gonna pull him up, maybe try to pull an interview. However, I don't want to do that while he is making his qualifying lap right now. So we'll wait just a moment, and we'll watch him finish up his lap here. And then we'll pull him in just a moment. That way we can he can kind of tell us a little bit more about Maconi Setup Shops. I've seen them a lot around on Facebook, the various iRacing pages. There's a lot that group can do. There's all that competition between setups of the different groups. But what's cool about them, as something I've seen too before we get a chance to interview with them, is they also do custom setups for league events. So it's okay, hey, Area 51, we run reduced fuel setup. So if you take a normal setup, you take the fuel out of it, Steve, what happens is the car usually gets extremely tight. So what's nice for Jeff is they can adjust that. They've got a good group of guys to kind of help that side out of things here. And with that, I believe the qualifying has just completed here. So actually, before we pull Jeff in, let's go over our starting grid for tonight's event. All right, so for tonight's event, poll tonight is going to go to the number 93 of Kevin DeBrown, his first race, I believe, over here in the Indy Series. He's going to start it with a pole position, so great start for him. Bud Steele qualifies second. You see just 100th off. You got Charles Teed in third, Matt Wagner fourth, Craig Forsyth in fifth, Yari Brupacher in sixth, Nick DeGroot seventh, Chris Jabot in eighth, ninth Benjamin Combs, 10th is David Payton, Jeff Heisong in 11th, and Alec Coates in the 12th position. All right, 13th through 23rd, you got Eric Schaus, Todd Merkel, Don Runkle Jr., Charles Johnson, Jeff Maconi, Steve Goschuk. Steve, you're going to start 18th. James Ledford in 19th, Jack Wells in 20th. Then you got Chris Matthews, Jim Brooks, Kyle Ramsey, Michael Spell in 24th. And then the last car taking grid in the 25th position is going to be the number 50 of David Leclerc.
I'm very proud not to be starting last.
You did well there. So while I have a quick moment here, see if we can hunt down that Jeff Maconi, see if he's still in here on Discord. Unfortunately, I think we may have missed him. I'll try to keep an eye out for him, see if he pops back on here in a moment. Because yeah, we do definitely want to, first off, of course, thank Jeff for sponsoring the race tonight with the Area 51 Racing League, our Season 8 opener. Season 2, if you will, of the 2021 season. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be really exciting to see kind of what we've got in store. A lot of new names, a lot of new faces here. Steve, of course, a lot of also some of our regulars as well. So it's gonna be fun to see what these guys can put in store for us here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm noticing like one big name from last season is not here tonight.
Yes, and it's yeah, unfortunately, Henry Bennett, our defending Season 7 champion, is not here this evening. He will be running the full season. He had a bit of a scheduling conflict tonight, though, so unfortunately, he's going to be missing tonight. But he'll definitely be in some of these future races, and he's going to be making these drivers' lives difficult throughout the rest of this 12-week season here.
Let's see, taking a look up here at the field, Kevin, a newcomer to the series, Kevin DeBrown. Pretty impressive to get a pole on his first time here. And Bud Steele, that's a good qualifying effort for him. So it looks like he'll be racing right from the start tonight. Matt Wagner up there as usual. Charles Teed, same thing. Craig Forsyth, and Chris Jabot with a nice qualifying effort as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good group of guys here as we take the green flag to start off Season 8 with the Area 51 Indy Series. Again, this is the Maconi Setup Shop 200 here at Kansas. Right off the bat, you're going to see, I think, drivers really try to jockey to kind of get that track position, get the clean air on the nose. As right now you see, you got Kevin Brown leading the way, but you got Bud Steele to his top, and then right on the outside, right off the bat, you got Matt Wagner, Charles T running side by side here. So this is where you got to be real careful when we kind of get things going. Even with these cold tires, they're fresh tires, but they're cold, and so you have to be real careful about that aero wash. You see Bud Steele makes a big move to the outside there. He's going to take the point here, get around that number 93 of Kevin Brown. He's going to take the lead. You see Matt Wagner, he's going to follow in behind him. And so Matt Wagner, he's going to move up into that second position.
Yeah, Kevin tried racing down on the bottom, and even this early, apparently you can't go full speed down there like you can on the outside line.
Yeah, that's something you have to keep an eye on that, Steve, is to see. I mean, Kansas notoriously, especially with the Cup cars, it's really a kind of a high groove track, and that's obviously more typical with the stock cars. So I wonder what we might expect to see here with the Indy cars, if maybe that groove does find its way to the top as things progress throughout the night here tonight.
What I experienced when I was out there running with other cars was it was very hard and wanted to run the bottom without having to back off the gas. I could still run the high line at at full throttle.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. See, Matt Wagner, he's actually taking a point, so he's going to get a lap led in that number 11 machine. I'll say, so say good start for him. I'll say get that bonus point, get that taken care of out of the way early on. Say right now, not a ton of movers. Say right now, two of the highest movers are kind of more towards the middle pack. One of those being that 72 of Eric Schaus. You see him. He's got actually a new paint scheme on his car as well. And say also have to mention a happy belated birthday to his wife Rachel, kind of one of our most dedicated viewers. So I hope you enjoyed yourself on your birthday, Rachel. And as I know Charles is giving you a hard time, thanks for bringing Eric back home in time to be able to do our online race here with Area 51. So really appreciate it, and really appreciate the support you give him and also us with the broadcast here.
That's dedication. Happy birthday, Rachel.
We're going to jump a little further back. Another big climber right now is actually, we talked about Jeff Maconi in that one car. He has moved up 3 spots as well. He's up to the 14th position. I say he's battling with Charles Johnson right there. That is 14th and 15th respectively. And then also a little further back right now, currently the highest mover of the race is the number 51, Jim Brooks. So he's switched over from that 76 to the 51, Steve. Saying he's right now making a good move here early on from the 22nd starting position up to 17th here.
And sometimes changing your number can change your luck.
It is very true. It's we've definitely seen people try lots of different things to try to kind of bring help their way. However, I'm going to jump back up front because we got a nice battle up front here. You see Bud Steele, Kevin Brown, and then Matt Wagner all right within a little bubble of each other here up front. Just a little bit of a gap over that 27 to Craig Forsyth. Not a huge margin, but I think Craig, knowing him, he's pretty wily. I think he's right now just kind of trying to, as I said, Bud Steele, you saw him just catch the wall in the entry. Still stuck up against these. Got to be extremely careful because you want to just yank it off the wall here, Steve. But if you do that, you're going to just turn straight left across the track. And I think you see exactly what he's doing there, being very cautious about it. Now pulls it off the wall. We'll have to see how much damage that car has from it. Unfortunately, that contact, but we'll say it looks like he's able to at least get it rolling. We'll see if he can kind of get that car back. Either get it back to the pits or maybe at least try to see if he can limp that thing around and maybe find some speed in it.
Yeah, hopefully not too much damage, but it's hard to imagine you can run against a wall like that and not have damage in these cars. And he's pitted.
He jumped to the pits there, yeah. So unfortunate for Bud Steele, up in that top 3 battle there, so that's going to drop him out of that and out of the lead lap as well. Say lap times right now in the 25-second bracket, so really quick lap times right now. And say pretty much the whole field here running within about a second or a second and a half at most of one another. So definitely a lot of pace for these guys up front here.
And Kevin Brown had he'd slid back there at the beginning, and it looked like he was kind of struggling with the push, but he's definitely come back.
Yeah, he's coming back with a pretty strong right now. And I'd say another newcomer here. Oh, actually looks like Charles Johnson may have had an incident. We're going to jump back and try to take a look, see what happened to this number 9 machine. Let's say we watch here on the replay. You see him down on the inside there. I think he's trying to pass Jeff Maconi there. So we'll take a look and see what happened. And I think from what I'm seeing here, Steve, he's just going to straddle that apron on the front stretch there. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that apron just is not very forgiving. And so that's going to send him around there. But I think we stayed under green with that. So he's going to kind of, for the most part, get away with it. And it looks like no real contact with the wall. Just loops it around and also misses the pit entry. So he can grab a gear, keep going again. So I'll say for a bad situation, it's about the best you could have hoped for there if you're Charles Johnson.
This is pretty interesting. I did not think that Matt Wagner was going to be able to run the bottom line and hold off Kevin DeBrown, but so far Matt is protecting the bottom line all the way around, and he's able to keep up enough speed in 1 and 2 to keep Kevin from passing him. So these two guys they're having a good race up there.
Yeah, so it's a good fight right now for that lead. Like you said, right now Matt holding the bottom as much as he can. Say we are in lap number 15, so the fuel windows, we mentioned that, Steve, too. We're about halfway through the fuel run here. So say that's going to be the next thing for these drivers to kind of keep an eye on and think about is when they need to make those pit stops. The guy I'm thinking right now, though, is kind of just really biding his time and just being smart about that is Craig Forsyth, just kind of cruising in third right now, started 5th. I think he's just kind of managing his tires, managing his pace right now as well. Say now, before we had the incident happen, I was mentioning the number 89 car of Nick DeGroot. Say he's Definitely a very accomplished Indy racer. So say he's been able to jump over here. That's one of the things too to mention. I say with that partnership between Area 51 and Dark Horse, we've got a lot of similar names, a lot of similar faces kind of shared between one another. So it's really nice to see both leagues kind of supporting one another here with the two series. I say here at the IR18s on Tuesday nights, and then over at Dark Horse Wednesday nights with the DW12 cars.
So we've got an influx of new drivers from, I guess, 2 different places.
Yeah, we got a good group of drivers. Say another new driver, not to the league, but to the Indy Series full time is that 24 Chris Chabot. I say Chris having a really good start here as well, up into 6th position, started in 8th. I say he's always one that's always going to have really good looking paint schemes, and I say is not wasting any time on that. He's got the really nice looking NOS Energy car. So I was talking to him. It's kind of a throwback to one of the old Marlboro paint schemes. Obviously, just a little bit of different color coding and sponsorship, but yeah, really good looking car though for that 24. And you have to take a look later on in the broadcast, Steve, but science may have gone too far with Chris and his cat Luke, somehow merging the two of them together.
Is there something like that on his car, you're saying? Or what did I miss there?
So one of the benefits, I'll say we've changed some of our stream setups, and so drivers can include their driver picture, and so when it kind of shows what's going on with like who the driver is, and so if they upload a picture, it'll actually show that in there. So you'll have to take a look at the broadcast later on, Steve. But say we'll jump back to Craig Forsyth, and I don't know if you remember Paul Tracy back in the day where he would wear the Lucha Libre mask type setup. So he's got that as his profile picture. Really good looking one for him. Charles Teed, he's gotten a little bit more normal. Say he's going with the actual selfie picture. So hats off to Charles for being braver than I am. I'll say, well, I wasn't that brave to use my actual picture. Alright, so we'll jump around a little bit more right now. Yari Brupacher in the number 49. He's in the 7th position right now. We talked about some of the time zones. We mentioned Henry Bennett racing out of England, say with that time zone difference. I believe Yari's, I'm not sure if it's in Germany or Switzerland or where he's located, but somewhere out in that area. So say you think about the time zone difference, so I believe they're about, I want to say 6 hours ahead of the East Coast. So I mean, if we're talking about almost 9 p.m. on the East Coast right now, it's very early in the morning over there right now while he's racing.
Yeah, that would be like 3 a.m. over there.
I was gonna let you do the math. I didn't feel too confident on that one, so I'm glad you caught that and jumped on it right away.
I have a friend in Germany, so I know the time zone difference pretty well.
All right, that works for me. Nick DeGroot, just saw him. He got around Charles T. That's going to move him up into the 4th position. So we'll keep moving a little bit back. You see David Payton. David, always nice to have him here as long as we can keep him here, of course. He is up in that 8th position, also +2 from his starting spot. We talked about Eric Schaus a little bit earlier. Right now, last car in the top 10 is Jeff Heisong, another one of the drivers over from Dark Horse, able to kind of join us and say another really good driver as well. So they've been bringing some really good talent over to this league. So it's a lot of fun to see, and I'd say right now these guys doing a great job here. So right now, Steve, we're on lap number 25 of the 133. And so the other thing I haven't mentioned, Steve, is the tire strategies here. It's a total of 4 sets of tires, and actually, as I mentioned, that Kevin Brown, he just took over the lead here, so he is now to the point in that number 93 car. There are 4 sets of tires total. That means 3 sets in the pit, so they're going to be very strategic about when they use these tires, especially with that 30 or so lap mark on tires, or on fuel, I should say.
So how many, if this thing goes green all the way, how many stops are these guys going to have to make?
I believe it'll be 3 stops to make it. That's all depending. I think they need to make sure that they can get to lap, I'd say about 31, 32 to be safe. So I mean, if you do the math, 30, 60, 90, that's going to get you to, that'll get you lap 120. So actually, you know what? I think, this might be a 4-stopper. So there might be a force here where at some point somebody's going to have to maybe take a fuel-only stop just for strategy's sake with the limited sets of tires we have here tonight.
Yeah, if they have to stop 4 times, and you said 3 sets of tires, right?
Yeah, I believe it's 4 total sets with 3 in the pits. So yeah, so I say obviously the set they start the race on, and then they'll have the 3 afterwards. So that could get very intriguing. Which right now, I've been watching Charles T and Nick DeGroot. They've been kind of playing back and forth here with one another, kind of leapfrogging each other for position. And saying actually Charles looks like he's getting ready to release the sandbags here. He is going after Craig Forsyth and try to grab that 3rd position here. Because actually, if you look up front here, Steve, these top 2, they've been able to separate themselves by about a second or so over 3rd place. So I mean, it's not uncatchable, but I mean that's a pretty big gap when you look at the talent that you've got with Craig, Charles Teed, and Nick DeGroot there.
Yeah, it's a bigger gap than I thought they were going to do because, like you, I thought that Craig Forsyth was just kind of laying back, saving stuff, and by now he would be right on these guys. So these 2 are setting a blistering pace up front, and it's a heck of a debut for Kevin DeBrown.
Yeah, exactly right. So obviously familiar with him on the Thursday side with the Cup Series. He'll be there as well. See if we can get back into the championship races over there. So switching from the Cup cars to the Xfinity cars, though, so it'll be a little bit of a difference. But I think it's something that a lot of the drivers are going to be looking forward to. And actually, as I say that, we got one of our first takers here in pits. That is Jack Walls at lap number 31. So he's having a short pit a little bit here, Steve. Surprised to see Jack actually the first one in. I really thought it'd be some of these guys up front. So that's going to be the next question, though, is going to be. And as I say that, Kevin Brown and Matt Wagner going again here, 32 this time, still staying out. So I think what we talked about, Steve, I think they know that fuel window, and they're going to try to stretch this tank out as far as they possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, they have to do that because if you can get this down to a 3-stop race, then they can take new tires every single stop, and they're not going to have to make one for fuel only.
Yeah, and exactly right.
And these guys are just about at the point where they can make it a 3-stop race. In fact, I think they are.
Yeah, and that's going to be crucial. So Jack Walls, you see, he's just now coming out of the pits there in the 83 car. I believe that's going to put him 2 laps down. So that'll be something also to keep an eye on for him right now. So right now, yes, like I said, and actually, as I said, here comes Kevin Brown. He's going to make his first stop. Does a great job getting off the track and down into the pits. Nick DeGroot, he is in the pits as well. And I believe Benjamin Combs is the 3rd driver. So these guys are pitting here, coming to lap 34. So here comes Matt Wagner, though. He's going to have to go a little further. And just by the way, he's kind of hugging this inside line. I think we're going to see Matt Wagner in this time.
I think he may have run out of gas.
Oh, I think you're right. I think he stretched it too far. Yeah, he's having to kind of sputter it in there, it looks like. But look who's able to go even further, though. We talked about those guys maybe just playing conservative and not showing the full hand. Now you got Craig Forsyth and Charles Teed. Now they're in the top 2 positions. And I do need to mention with Matt Wagner and Jim Brooks hit the pits, as did Benjamin Combs, Charles Johnson. So say pit road is definitely starting to get busy. And, as I said, here comes Craig Forsyth kind of in between on the apron. He's going to loop it around. And he's going to try to get it turned around. This is a dangerous spot for Craig to be. Somehow we stay green, which I do not know how that's happened. You see James Leverett, he had to react. He kind of got off track as well. So things are definitely getting a little wild there, and I'm really surprised that did not bring out a caution. But with that, though, here's Chris Jabot here. He's now hitting the pits. He's able to go a lap further. He's going to be pitting coming to lap 37. So great fuel mileage out of that 24 car.
Yep, and we know he can definitely make it on a 3-stop race now.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. So, and someone who's going to stretch this fuel window even further is going to be that 37 Alec Coates. He's now going, we're on lap 37. He stays out. So right now he's showing as our race leader. And like I said, though, I'm extremely surprised that caution didn't come out. So not sure if it was just maybe it wasn't detected or what, but that was really close call and really great job by the drivers avoiding that. So here comes Alec Coates. He hits pit road. I believe this is going to complete our our pit stop cycle here. So now it's going to be all about kind of where everybody cycles through on the exit. And I believe it might be going back to Matt Wagner, going to take the point with Nick DeGroot there in second once they complete this side of pit stops here. So we'll let this pit stop cycle kind of completely cycle through so we can kind of get a good look as who is where. I believe Chris Jabot, he's going to cycle out in third position, and he pitted 3 laps later than Nick DeGroot, 2 laps later than Matt Wagner. So I'll say he's in a good position on track, and he's also in a really good position on fuel as well. So, yeah, a great start for Chris here in this opening stint. Like we had mentioned, Eric Schaus, he's done a really good job through his pit stop cycle as well. He's now up into that 4th position, pitted on lap number 35, so he's also in just that little bit further as well here.
I think so, maybe you said it, but I don't know. Charles Teed is way back in 14th, and we must have missed something that happened on his pit stop.
Yeah, you're right. So something must have happened to Charles this time. Trying to see if I can find pit stop time. Everything looks normal there, but yeah, there must have been something that happened. Maybe on the interior of the exit, maybe had a moment, and so yeah. So unfortunately for Charles, definitely it's moved him back track position wise. But again, drivers taking advantage of this. So, I mean, I said we talked about Jim Brooks earlier. Look at Jim now; he's up into 6th position. Plus 16 from his starting spot, Steve, and that's all under green flag conditions here. So I'll say good forward momentum on the first stop, and then of course getting through the pit stop cleanly. He's really capitalized on some of the others' mistakes here.
And I'm kind of surprised. I don't know what happened with Kevin DeBrown. I would have thought that he would be up there with Matt Wagner, based on when he pitted, and Matt having appeared to have run out of gas and probably had a slower pit stop, but Matt's up there leading, and Kevin is back in 7th, 5 seconds back.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I mean, it could just be the in-lap, out-laps. I mean, some of these guys they kind of just almost second nature, the in and out laps on these pit stops. So say Kevin's going to obviously have to make up a lot of ground here to try to get back up into that track position where he's at. Right now, you kind of see Matt Wagner, Nick DeGroot kind of playing leapfrog here, Steve. And I say it looks like they're just fighting each other super hard, but what really they're doing here is they're able to actually kind of increase their speed by just leapfrogging one another. So you get the big draft run, you make the pass, and then you kind of rinse repeat. And that just allows you to keep the speed up on that. But I think what they're trying to do here is kind of make it a fight between the two of them. But I'm watching Chris Jabot, Eric Schaus. They are slowly but surely reeling them in. Last time by, Chris was about a 1/10 of a second quicker than Nick and Matt. So again, he's a couple laps to the good over them on fuel. But then also, like I mentioned, he's definitely closing that gap. This time by was about a 1/2 a second quicker than Nick. Again, about a 1/10 of a second quicker than Matt Wagner. So I think give another couple laps, I think we're going to see that 24 car right in this mix.
If I was Matt Wagner, having cut it so close on fuel the last run, I'd just hang out behind Nick DeGroot. Let him burn up his fuel running up front and try and save fuel running, just using the draft behind him.
Yeah, and right now it does seem like Matt has stayed behind Nick a little bit more than earlier. So right now, yeah, I think they're staying kind of lined up with one another here. So you did mention Kevin. He's just gotten around Jim Brooks, so that's going to move Kevin up into 6th. We're going to jump around a little bit more. Benjamin Combs, he is sitting in the 9th position, actually right where he qualified in that number 77 car. So he's pretty much holding solid. Then another one of the new faces to the league, then number 92, Chris Matthews. Plus 11, Steve, from up into the top 10 here in that 92 car. So another one of the new faces to the league. A great start to the opening for this race for him as well.
Yeah, definitely. Has he run the Indy cars before?
I mean, I say obviously I'm friends with him, so I say I a little bit of bias, but I mean I see him do a little bit of everything. I watch him race, so he'll obviously do like NASCAR stuff, but he runs a lot of sports car stuff as well. So I'm not sure on the Indy side of things, but if not, though, I mean, he's obviously showing that he's a very fast learner with these cars here early on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll keep moving around here. We talked about Jeff Heisong a little earlier. He's back in 11th, right where he started. Same goes for Alec Coates, right behind him in 12th. As he talked about Charles Teed, unfortunately falling back now into that 13th spot, just that pit stop cycle. Something must have happened, unfortunately, that we missed there. Jack Walls, he is in the 14th spot, plus 6 from his starting position. James Ledford in the 15th position, plus 4. And then behind James Ledford, just a little bit there behind, is that 00 Don Runkle Jr. I'll say same thing for Don. He's definitely run Indy cars plenty, but say nice to have him over here with Area 51 as well. So say just I think trying to get his feet wet and kind of get comfortable with the league and everything here. So right now sitting in that 16th position.
And he did a good job saving fuel that first run. I noticed he was when everybody was pitting, he was still out there, and I don't know if he led a lap, but he was very close to leading one.
I think you're right, Steve. Actually, yeah, he went to lap 36, so yeah, pretty much went the furthest of most of these guys on fuel, and I think he's doing the same fuel strategy here again. Also, Charles Johnson, we mentioned him earlier. He's still kind of recovering from where he was. He's actually back up into the 17th position after all that's all said and done. So after that spin, great job by Charles sticking with it and in a pretty good position. So he's got Jeff Maconi, though, not going to give him an inch, though, here. Say they're fighting here for the 18th and 19th positions, respectively. And Craig Forsyth, pretty much anything and everything could go wrong on that pit stop did for Craig. Right now sitting in that 19th spot, and then rounding out our top 20 is the 88 of Michael Spell, who I believe is the first car one lap down at the moment.
Yeah, so we've got 19 cars on the lead lap, and for Craig Forsyth to have stayed on the lead lap after that tragedy on his pit stop, that's pretty good. I hope he can stay there.
Yeah, so it's a good start for him. And up front, though, Steve, we mentioned it felt like Chris Chabot's going to get there. He is there, so we've got now a 3-car battle for the lead, and we're on lap number 53 of 133. So like I talked about, at some point it's going to be the same thing. Chris can probably go a little bit further than some of these guys, and I think what he's doing right here is just exactly what you might as well do, is just keep the clean air on the nose of that car, maybe just run that maybe a couple grooves higher, and then from there you just kind of just run that third groove, save some fuel, change the fuel maps, and actually that's a good thing. That's kind of a good segue here, Steve. These IR18 cars, you're not locked into, it's a fixed setup, but you have a lot of adjustability in these cars. So I know we've mentioned before, but for anybody who might be new watching the Green White Checker TV here, these IR18 cars, you can adjust the front and rear anti-roll bars. So say it's short, they call them the front and rear A or Bs. And then you can also adjust the weight jacker. Saying from what I've talked with drivers, weight jacker, that's more of the adjustment you make when you're kind of in the draft. So if you're getting tight, you move that weight jacker forward. If you start getting loose, you move the weight jacker backwards if you get back into that clean air. And then the other thing, of course, you can change is the fuel maps, which is, I think, one of the more crucial things here. And with these cars, oh, Chris really close to the wall there off of 4. The fuel map here, what you can do if you're running fuel map 1, you are full rich. So you're just giving everything that you can. You can go all the way down to fuel map 5, and that's going to put you pretty much as lean as you can go under race conditions. And of course, there's a few other ones for road course racing. And then of course, there's the caution fuel map, which you do not want to have being used under green flag conditions.
Yeah, we've seen people make a mistake, and you just add under caution and forget to put it back for the restart.
I mean, it does save a lot of fuel, but yeah, you get no power out of it. So right now, really good. Still, these guys having a great battle here up front between Nick, Matt, and Chris. Like I said, I think Chris right now, I think he's just being smart about this, kind of letting Matt and Nick kind of just play leapfrog with one another like we had talked about. As Matt Wagner, he just takes the point in that number 11 car. So I'm thinking with these guys doing what they're doing here, Steve. Last time Chris pitted about 2 to 3 laps later than these guys. I mean, if he's doing what he's doing now, he might be able to do the same and maybe even extend it a little bit, being in the draft for this long.
Yeah, definitely, and it means that he may even be able to go a little bit lighter on fuel for that last run, which would be an advantage.
And that's a great point, Steve. Is the fuel in these cars? These Indy cars. They're very weight sensitive, and so if you can keep these cars lighter, the better, basically. So yeah, if you can, that final stop, if you can, let's say, put 8 gallons of fuel instead of 10 gallons of fuel. That 8 gallons is going to feel so much better in your car than the other cars that have to take the 10.
And it looks like the leaders are coming up to lap Craig Forsyth, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how hard is Craig going to fight here. I don't think he has any damage, but yeah, the pace just doesn't seem to be there right now in that 27 car after that pit stop miscue that he had, but it doesn't look like he's going to have anything to fight with these guys right now. So I'm wondering maybe Craig is kind of going alternate strategy, Steve. Maybe he's really trying to back down his pace and just save as much fuel as he can. Maybe hope for a timely caution to maybe bring out a yellow at the right time. But the other cars I'm going to be watching just a little further off the screen, 4th and 5th position, Eric Schaus and then Inyari Brupacher, say they are just out of the range of this draft right as they run. But again, we know both of these drivers extremely fast, extremely talented drivers. So I would not be surprised to see them make this a 5-car fight up front here by the time before this next set of pit stops, which actually, Steve, pit stop window probably going to be open here in the next couple of laps, just judging by where, I mean, we're already on lap number 62.
Yeah, so we're probably, let's see, 10 or 11 laps away from these people having to pit. I noticed Kevin DeBrown he's cut about a second off the lead, which is not too bad. And I'm wondering if one of the reasons that these guys caught up to Craig Forsyth and were able to get by him is because of he had no one to draft with. He was just out there running by himself.
That is a very good point, and that's what I'm watching. Is I just watched Kevin and Jim, and you're right, they're doing the same thing. They're pretty much just leapfrogging each other. As soon as they get the run, one goes high, the other goes low, makes the pass, and then they keep kind of working with one another. And that's something you can do with these cars. It sounds weird, but it's almost a way you can work together. Say with the Cup cars, where you started kind of doing tandem drafting, things of that nature. With these cars, you kind of have to do that leapfrog approach, and that's what we've been seeing. Matt Wagner, Nick DeGroot. They were doing a little earlier, but say right now it looks like Matt's actually be able to stretch his lead out a little bit. And I'm wondering, you talk about the fuel strategies and maybe trying to burn a little bit extra fuel. I wonder if Nick is trying to maybe help that, let that 11 car maybe burn that little bit extra fuel, maybe try to get him out of that fuel window.
Yeah, I wonder about that too, because one thing we know about Matt, he likes to go out there and lead every single lap and not worry that much about fuel. So, if Nick DeGroot is being smart about it, he's catching some drafts, saving some fuel, because Matt's going to be real close on whether he can make it on 3 stops or not.
Yeah, and again, here comes Jack Walls, the first of the drivers to pit here, lap number 66. So we talked about the fuel number. It's going to be tight for Jack if he can make it to the end on one more stop from here. I feel like he's going to maybe have to make that 4th stop like we mentioned. So now the question is going to be for these guys. So Matt Wagner, he last pitted on lap 34, so if you do 34 again, that should be lap 68 if all things are equal. So that's going to be interesting to see. And actually, Kevin DeBrown, he's having to pit a little earlier than I thought he would. So he's going to hit the pits there for that 93 car. So one of the first of some of the front runners to make their first, or their second scheduled pit stop, I should say. Looks like Benjamin Combs in the pits as well there in the 77. And there's Charles Johnson, and actually you see there's Nick DeGroot. Nick's going to hit pit road as well, right behind Charles Johnson. So Nick having to pit a little earlier than Matt Wagner. So again, Matt's able to stretch a little bit further, and he's gotten past that lap 68 mark that we talked about, Steve. So he has been able to work the fuel numbers just a little bit better in that 11 car.
Well, this is a good thing. All right, let's see how many more laps.
Matt missed his pit. He got in too hot. He had to react and basically, instead of overshooting, he had to basically get back out there. So that's going to cost Matt a lot of time, and he's got to be careful. Can he make it all the way back around without running out of fuel as well? So he's going to have to be really, really careful and just pretty much, I think, coast this car as far as he can. But you can see the pace that he's off in that car. So unfortunately, yeah, you can see already on the apron. So he's out of fuel in that 11 car. So that's handing the lead back over to the 24 of Chris Jabot, who again, he was one of the drivers that went the furthest on fuel the last time by, and he is doing the exact same thing again here. So for Chris, he just needs to have get those couple laps left here, Steven, and then have a really clean event-free pit stop here.
You know what it looked like to me, what happened with Matt Wagner is I don't think he was planning to pit that lap, and I don't know if his fuel, if his engine burped and he realized that he couldn't make it another lap, or he looked at his fuel gauge, but it just seemed like it was a last-second decision to try and stop and get in, and realized he wasn't going to be able to.
Yeah, it was definitely, it looked like a late move, but yeah, just unfortunately did not pan out. So Chris Jabot, he just pitted from the lead, so that's going to hand it over to Jeff Heisong here as our race leader. Alec Coates will be in second. These two were some of the ones that, again, went pretty much the furthest on fuel, and you see they're both going to stay out, so they're really stretching the fuel numbers out of these two cars here. And so I'm looking on the ticker here for the kind of where everybody's coming out in relation to one another, and right now I believe Chris Jabot just got out behind Nick DeGroot, so we'll have to see once he gets up to speed how he cycles in relation. But again, Chris pitted 3 laps later than Nick that time by, and I think you see here, yep, here comes Jeff Heisong. He's going to hit pit road. You see Alec Coates, he's coming in right behind him. And great job, both of those guys getting down to speed, because you could see they're coming in a big hurry there. And so now Nick DeGroot's going to cycle back over as our race leader once he gets through, basically once he gets back to the front stretch while the leaders make their pit stops.
You know, I saw a lot of smoke on the pit road exit, and I saw Charles T going very slowly, and I was like, I wonder what the heck happened. So I just backed up to look at it, and he was on the apron coming out of the pits apparently in turn 4 or turn 2, and I think he must have nailed the gas too hard because around he went.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and we've seen that, unfortunately, and say that may have been what happened a little earlier as well. You see right now though, Nick DeGroot in all sorts of traffic here, Steve. You can see he's got Jack Walsh trying to put Jack down a lap, and then right in front of him he's got Charles Johnson right there, then Charles Teed is right there. Donovan Jr. is just a little bit further up in front, so a lot of traffic for Nick to try to deal with. And so while that's happening, while he's having to deal with that, that's just really letting Chris Jabot just close that gap little by little. And I would say I think it's going to be the same thing. He's going to be able to get really close before the pit stop cycle. I mean, he's pretty much there already, Steve, for that second position. And you look back, Eric Schaus not too far off of Chris as well. Jim Brooks, he's made his way now all the way up into 4th position. And it's like Kevin Brown is still a great recovery after falling back a little bit after his first stop. He is still in that top 5 and not too far off of Jim Brooks, but these guys have a huge gap though over 6th position. You can see between 1st and 5th is just under 4 seconds, but then 6th place is about 11 seconds off the lead. So right now it's been these 5 that have really kind of just capitalized on this first opening segment of the race, which opening segment being over halfway through the race already.
And Kevin and Jim Brooks were a little over 4 seconds back before the pit stop, so they're now, I'm showing Jim Brooks at 3.0 and Kevin DeBrown at 3.7. So these guys may be getting close enough to actually pull up and catch Eric Schaus and run down the leaders.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking as well, Steve. Is you just piece by piece, really, if you will. So basically, if Jim and Kevin, if they can get up, they can catch Eric. That'll kind of get them all together, because Eric's not that far behind Chris Jabot as well. And so say move Chris up and be in that mix as well. You see Chris right now running the low side. You see Nick DeGroot running the top side here. And so, and I think you see there with Nick DeGroot, I think he's opted. So you know what? I don't want to fight all these guys, try to get them trapped a lap down. I'm just going to use this. I'm going to take advantage of this situation right now, and I'm just going to ride, save as much fuel as I can here early on, and then maybe make a push here later on. OC1 there onto the grass. Looks like he's able to recover though. That was the 6 of Bud Steele there. So he had a bit of a moment, but great hands to be able to keep that car back on track. Because I was smoking the tri-oval, and that's what it was from.
And let's see, Jim Brooks now 2.8 behind and Kevin 3.2 behind. So these guys, they're definitely catching.
Yeah, no, I think it's not a matter of if, it's going to be when for these guys. I say they're all closing the gap. So looking again at the lap times, Nick DeGroot ran 25.5. Chris and Eric both ran 25.3s. Jim ran a 25.4. So yeah, they're all starting to kind of just slowly but surely reel in that distance. And I say with these cars as well, I say you kind of get to that magic. Pretty much I'd say about a magic 1.5 or so seconds behind the car in front of you. And of course you got to keep some clean air on the nose, but you get a big toe down the straightaways. And so as I say that, here comes Chris Jabot. He's going to try to take a look to see if he can get the lead.
And for people that aren't that familiar with the Indy cars, one of the things I learned last season, unlike stock cars, where when you get 2 cars together working in tandem, it makes both of them go faster. In Indy cars, the only one that goes faster is the car that's behind. So there's no such thing as your draft from the car behind helping the car in front go faster. So I mean, someone like Chris Jabot he's in a good position to catch Nick, and Eric Schaus is in a good position to catch both of them once he gets close enough to just get a whiff of their draft.
Yeah, I think that's where the difference is going to be made. But the problem right now is just these guys just are having a really tough time making passes happen. You see, you've been seeing Charles Johnson and Jack Wells. They've been running pretty much running the middle top groove, so that's moved Nick DeGroot down to the inside. But it hasn't been working though. So he isn't able to keep the momentum up. So then you see Nick, he'll go to the top, so Chris will go to the bottom. And what these guys are they're all going where the clean air is, and that's exactly what you got to do right now. Is you just got to find where the clean air on the nose of your car can get. You see Nick again. He's going to run that middle to top groove. Chris is going to run about a groove lower. Just try to keep that front wing in that clean air, keep that car rotating as well as it can.
I wonder whether Nick DeGroot is content to just run behind those guys as long as Chris is not able to challenge him to try and save fuel, since he's got 3 laps longer to go than Chris Jabot does.
That's a very good potential. I was saying, and we mentioned about Nick earlier. I mean, he's a very smart racer. He's really good at these cars. Knows how to put himself in position to win these races. So, yeah, I say it's definitely a good potential. He's trying to make something happen strategy-wise. You see Jack Walls. He's going to drop down to the inside. Looking at lap number 86, I think it's a little early for Jack to pit. So we'll see. Maybe Jack's just kind of giving way here for these guys. And yeah, it looks like he was just kind of letting them go there. So. Nice gesture from Jack. Tried to fight them as long as he could, but unfortunately, I think finally had to give up there at the end. But I say the thing is, though, I mean, it's not done. They still got 3 more cars right in front of them, like we had just mentioned. I think it was. Let me pull up my timing and scoring here. I want to say it's Charles Johnson, Benjamin Combs, and Don Runkle Jr. I think those are the next 3 cars in line with these guys. And again, it's not that these guys don't have the pace, just they've had circumstances that have kind of made them drop off the pack a little bit. And so that's going to make it that much harder. You can see these guys are really starting to stack up here fighting for that position.
It's definitely a good battle going on up front here. I think that Chris is really in the better position right now.
Yeah, so the one thing now that Nick's got going for him, he's cleared most of the traffic. We'll see if Chris can follow through as well, because if he can clear this and kind of get back into that clean air like Nick is, he'll be in a great spot. You can see Chris wasted no time there off of turn number 2 there, Steve. As soon as he had as soon as the spotter told him clear, he went straight to the top, tried to pull the draft off of Nick DeGroot there, and yeah, that was a critical moment for him. And a little further back, looky, here comes Eric Schaus. Here comes Kevin Brown. Kevin's worked his way up to 4th, now fighting back for 3rd. So say Kevin making a really good recovery effort as well in that 93 car. And again, like you said, he's been really closing the gap on this lead pack here.
Yeah, definitely. This is, like you said, it's going to be a 5-car race pretty soon.
Yeah, I'd say right now it's Kevin leading that pack again right behind him. We just mentioned Eric Schaus. Jim Brooks is right there as well. Say on the fuel side of things, Eric and Chris were the ones that went the longest on fuel. Chris on lap 70, Eric on lap 69. So say they've got a couple laps, a cushion possibly over the guys in front of them. But you can see though, once they've gotten clear of the traffic and everything, these guys have really put some time down though. They've been able to separate themselves by about looks like about a second or so off of Kevin there for 3rd.
Yeah, Kevin got around Eric. Let's see, Kevin last pitted on lap 67. He's going to be real close.
Yeah, it just depends on how aggressive. Oh, as I said, a caution has just come out. Oh, unfortunately, it looks like it may have been Jeff Maconi that had the incident to bring out the caution. So that's going to change everybody's strategy here, Steve. Let's go see what happened, unfortunately, to Jeff in that number 1 machine. You see he's down on the apron here. Say this might be right after a pit stop cycle. I'm not 100% sure. But you can see he's down on the apron. And then, unfortunately, when you're running on the apron here, Steve, there's not a lot you can do to recover these cars, because we've seen the transition is usually something that's going to bite these guys. And you can see how much wheel he's got turned into the right to try to keep it pointed in the right direction. But then, unfortunately, it looks like I think it's just going to kind of snap away on him. Yeah, you see, it kind of just stops on track there, and yeah, it just takes a quick tow to try to avoid anything happening. But unfortunately, it brought the caution out, which I think a lot of drivers are going to be very happy about that, Steve, as we're going to have a lot of pit stops here going on.
Yeah, I think the same thing. But we're at lap 93, which means let's see,
That's 40.
143 laps.
That's
They,
it's still 40 to go, I believe. So yeah, it's not. I don't think it's in anybody's realistic fuel window at this point.
you've got 16 cars on the lead lap. You have to wonder if some of these guys up front are going to come back in and top off, because then they might possibly be able to make it. But this is going to be hairy for these guys. They definitely can't go 40 laps.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see. And so a few drivers that really benefited from that were right on the tail end of that lead lap. So say they're going to be able to get a lot of track position back. One of those we mentioned that had not been lapped yet was that 00 Don Ruckle Jr. He's hit the pits, so he's going to gain pretty much 3/4 of a lap back on the leaders here, and I believe it looks like he's going to cycle out in the top 15 as well. So a big break for that 00 car. Two drivers stayed out here, which I'm gonna guess they're just gonna pit the next time around, which are Jeff Heisong and Chris Matthews, showing 1-2 at the moment, but I suspect we'll see both of these guys hit pit road. And then I want to say I'm trying to see if anybody stayed out to be the wave around car as well. It looks like Jack Walls, Craig Forsyth have, and yeah, here comes Chris Matthews. He is gonna hit pit road. Surprising though, Jeff Heisong, Steve, he stays out here, so maybe he's thinking, you know what, I can still make it on one more stop. I'm just going to make that pit stop earlier than the rest of the guys, because he did pit on lap number 72, so he was one of the ones that went the furthest on fuel that last time. So I think this is a track position strategy for that 72 for the 18 car.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if he thinks that everybody else is going to have to take another pit stop, which is the case right now if they don't top off, then he's definitely making a good move here.
Yeah, it's going to be very intriguing to see, because the one difference that you could do, it's all about kind of when you want to make that pit stop. Do you want to pit early? Do you want to pit, like, do you treat it like a road course and pit once you're in your window? Or do you run it as far as you can and then make the final stop? Because, like I said, with this, where this caution falls, I don't believe it's in the window for any of these guys to make it to the end. It would be tight. Some of these guys might top off on the one to go and maybe go real aggressive on the fuel saving, because right now we're on lap number 95, 133, so we're going to probably restart on 97. And so, I mean, that would be in the upper 30s on the fuel window, so it's in the realm of possibility. Somebody might be able to make that happen.
What's the most laps that somebody's gone so far? Because I kind of missed that.
That's what I'm trying to think. Let me see if we can find some of my little new toys, if I can find something here. I see some 36. Looks like Jeff Heisong, he's gone 36 laps twice in that number 18 car. So with us going to restart here on lap number 37, or sorry, 97 with 133.
I mean, if he hasn't pitted, he's not going to be able to go very many laps before he has to pit.
But he would be in that window, because as I'm just looking at the numbers right now, and basically right now to lap 133, or sorry, 97 to 133, Steve, would be 36 laps. So it would be right on that number. So it's a stretch, it's a gamble, but I like it. I think Jeff Heisong, he needed that track position. I think he's been faster than he's shown. So he's been using a track position, or sorry, using a fuel strategy to keep the track position. And so I think he hasn't really shown the full pace out of that 18 car. So I think basically from here, he could probably make it. He actually probably could pit pretty much in the next lap or two and be good to the end. So it's going to be very interesting to see. And the other thing that he does have in store here too, Steve, he has an extra set of tires that these other drivers won't possibly may not have.
Oh, yeah, that would be good too.
And the other thing that he's got going for him, he is control car on this restart. And he is down and away. Looks like he waited a little bit there on the start. I thought I saw a little bit of trouble in the back there, Steve. I don't know if you're able to catch on your side or not. But we are back under green here. And like I said, lap number 97, 133. So it's old tires, low fuel versus fresh tires and full of fuel. You see Chris Bell wasting no time. He's going to try to work the top here. See if he can get that lead away from that 18 car.
And I just wonder, how many more laps is the 18 going to be able to stay out there? Because it can't be too many. I'm sure he was in full fuel save during the caution, so that would have got him a couple more laps.
Yeah, you're right. So he last pit on lap 72, so if we do that 36 mark, So what? 72 plus 36. That'd be about one. Would that be 110 roughly? Or sorry, 108 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 108.
So maybe he can go about 10 more laps or so in that 18 car, and he's held onto this lead, Steve. So there might be something to be said about having the maybe older tires, but having fresher fuel in that car, or less fuel, I should say, not fresher fuel. Because that car, I mean, look at that gap he's able to pull, and that could also be the fact that these guys may not be wanting to run full tilt here. Just again, you're gonna have that fear of possibly running yourself out of fuel, but. Look at some of the names that it's bringing back into this thing. Matt Wagner, look at that. He's back up into the top 5 here, Steve.
Wow, after his little errors, that's good. He's definitely going to be back in contention for this thing.
Yeah, you see a nice battle here for second, though. You see Nick DeGroot, he's got the spot. Kevin's going to follow through as well. He's going to grab third. Chris Jabot's going to fall back to fourth. But I think, again, we saw how well Chris saved fuel that first run. I think Chris is thinking fuel mileage here, thinking long run here. And that's the other thing, too, is Chris actually had really good long run pace in that number 24 car. So he might be trying to save a little bit of tire as well, but he's got to make sure he doesn't get swallowed up too much because here comes Matt Wagner. He's going to try to go and grab that fourth spot as well.
Yeah, I had to wonder if Chris isn't if he hasn't changed his fuel mapping just to try and save fuel and make it to the end.
I think so. I think that's like we talked about, maybe the map 3, map 5, something like that. You see Kevin, he's been able to get around Nick DeGroot, so he's going to jump up to second behind Jeff Heisong now. And again, these guys, they all know Jeff Heisong is going to have to pit, so I kind of wonder, are these guys maybe trying to fight to be that first car, basically who's going to take the lead over once he pits? Like you mentioned, probably about 5 more laps, we think, for Jeff Heisong before he makes his final pit stop. And again, can anybody else? Can some of these guys, are they going full rich? Are they stretching on fuel? Are they banking on yellows? There's a lot to play here, and it's going to be very interesting to see kind of what the strategy, how it's going to unfold here.
Yeah, I think these guys up front they've all decided that they're going to have to take another pit stop.
All but possibly the 24 car, we're thinking.
Barring a caution coming out.
All right, so then let's go back to let's look at the guys that topped off on that one to go. I'm trying to see who was the first of those that pitted, and I believe it's going to be David Payton, Charles Teed. I believe those are the furthest running, I should say, of those that topped off, the 38 and the 5 right now, 10th and 11th respectively. So I'll say they don't have the track position they need yet, but again, if these leaders, if we start getting that really long green flag run and maybe think about having to either start really saving at the end, that might be where, maybe that's where David, Charles, maybe they turn the wick up, they go full rich, and they can start kind of beating up on those guys that are starting to have to save late instead of early.
Yeah, and some of these guys I don't think are going to be able to save the way that they're running. So there's some that are most likely going to have to take another pit stop, and that could really work to the advantage of the people that topped off.
Yeah, so it's really, I mean, it's kind of a three battles right now. So you've got Jeff Heisong, he stayed out. We know he's going to have to pit probably in the next couple of laps here. And then you've got Kevin DeBrown, you've got Nick DeGroot, Jim Brooks, Matt Wagner. They are really pushing a very aggressive pace here up front. We think that with them doing that, that's probably going to force their hand to have to be able to, or to probably have to make a final pit stop as well towards the end, maybe just a splash. Do need to mention Craig Forsyth, Bud Steele, they're both in the pits as well, so this might be their pit stop here. They're getting it kind of out of the way early. I think they actually took a wave around, so that's why we see them in the pits. And then, of course, like I said, the drivers that topped off, David Payton, Charles Teed, it's going to be very interesting to see. Those couple of tenths of a gallon, they could come crucial here towards the end of this race. And I think you see no right doubt. There, I think Jeff Heisong's in this time. You see him hugging the inside line there off of 2. I think that's him letting these drivers know, hey, I'm pitting this time by.
Yeah, he just keyed up too, so I'm sure he was telling them.
Oh, he's getting hot. Oh, he did the same thing. Matt Wagner, he has to get back out on track. Just didn't have enough to get it wound down. It's a tough position to be in, especially when you got all that traffic around you. So hopefully he has enough fuel to limp that thing back to the pits, not lose too much time. Now it's going to leave the fight back up front here with Kevin DeBrown there in the lead. But you got Nick DeGroot, Jim Brooks all right there next to him. Right now, top 3 pretty much right within about a tenth or 2 of each other.
It's a shame for Heisong because he really had the strategy to do this if there's no more cautions.
Yeah, it's a really good strategy. I say it may have not been the winning strategy just based on some of the guys that probably are going to stretch it on fuel, but it could have been a really good strategy just on the sense of maybe being able to at least kind of outrun the rest of the guys that are kind of going to possibly have to do that splash at the end. So I say right now it's gone back from the 2 cars now back to 5 cars within a blanket there. Say one we didn't mention joined the mix right away here. Jari Brubacher again in that 49 car. He has got right back into the fight here. And one driver that was pushing early, he's really rolled off the back here, Steve. Matt Wagner. I think he maybe saw what was going on and say, hey, wait a second. I could probably fuel mileage this thing. I wonder if he made a late decision here to try to kind of run that fuel number as well. So I feel like the first one that's done that is Chris Jabot, so I feel like Chris might be in the best position out of those. Oh, you see one way down on the inside. I think that was Alec Coates. That was not Alec Coates.
He was having to take an evasive maneuver because...
Oh, it's David Payton. Oh, caution's going to come out from that. You see Craig Forsyth, big hit to him. I'll say that was... I saw someone go down on the apron there. It was David Payton that I had seen. Let's go back and see it. Unfortunate. I'm not sure what happened. Let's take a look here. The car just snaps out from under him there, Steve. Nothing, like I thought it was maybe a contact or something, but that car just really stepped out. He just jumped straight down towards the apron there. And then unfortunately, as he tries to gather it back up, I say he's got it caught, but then we always talk about that banking transition and say he has it, and then you kind of fight between the banking and the apron. And unfortunately, that's where it catches them. And you're going to see, unfortunately, Craig Forsyth tries to get down, was pretty much committed to the top line, and that's where the damage really, where they both hit really hard there, and that's going to bring out the yellow. And I believe we have a lot of takers here on the pit stop, so let's jump back live. So it looks like it's a mixed bag here, Steve. It looks like Kevin's going to be those leading the drivers into the pits, but we got at least 5. It looks like that are going to be staying out and trying to run this fuel strategy here.
Well, it's definitely, for the guys that topped off, I think it's definitely possible that they can make it the rest of the way if they save fuel during the caution period here.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think this is going to put them into the window where they can definitely make it without concern. The question will be, of course, is maybe tires. Are tires going to play a role in this? Because based on the pit stop time there, I believe pretty much most of the guys that pitted there actually did tires as well, not just fuel. Trying to double check here, looking at the numbers there. I think Chris Jabot for sure took tires, and actually it's 4 or 5 second pit stops now that I'm looking at for Jim Brooks, Kevin, and Jari. So that actually might be, those might be fuel, maybe just kind of safety net of fuel on these guys. So I think that's them saying, you know what, I'm gonna put a little bit of fuel in, I'm going full rich to the end, and that's what it's going to be. So
well, they would have been out of tires, wouldn't they? Because I'm pretty sure this was their 4th pit stop.
Was this number 4? I think yeah. I'm trying to remember. Unfortunately, I don't have the count of who's used how many tires. That would actually be a really nice thing to have. But yeah, you're right. So that might be another thing too, is those guys may have not had tires. But based on Chris Jabot's pit stop time, 8 seconds, that's about a normal 4-tire pit stop for these Indy cars. So it's possible he may have taken tires if he still had a set left there. Not 100% sure. May have also maybe had some nose damage or something. Maybe he had to get that repaired. However, what this does though is again it's going to shake the running order up a little bit. Charles T, that brings him all the way back up into the 4th position in that number 5 machine. And then we talked about Don Runkle Jr. a little earlier. He's now all the way up into the top 5 there. So he was one of those drivers we talked about. Started towards the back, but was kind of going full fuel save from the get-go. And so that's going to really benefit him as well. So this is going to put him into the top 5. And again, he was one of those drivers that topped off under yellow as well with Charles Teed. So I think he's feeling probably really good about his fuel strategy here as well.
And I guess what we're seeing here, unless I missed something, Nick DeGroot I'm showing as the leader and Matt Wagner in 2nd. And,
and
those guys,
third, yeah.
They did not top off. So
yeah, so the first 5 drivers did not pit. And yeah, you're right, the top 3 did not top off. So 4th and 5th, they topped off under the previous yellow. But then but yeah, so then the top 5 didn't pit under this current caution, and then from 6 on back went ahead and pitted. So I think it's gonna be a little bit of a mix on fuel versus fuel, maybe tires. Let's say it sounds like we're thinking probably actually just fuel for everybody. So it's gonna get dicey here. I think things are gonna get very busy for these remaining 18 laps, 17 laps at the line. And the other thing that we got to mention, Steve, there are no green-white checkers here, so there's no extended time. So they don't have to worry about saving fuel for beyond lap 133. They know 133 caution green, that's the finish of this race. So that's going to be in these guys' minds as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see, the top 3 cars last pitted at lap 94, so they're trying to stretch it out to 39 laps, and I think they can do it.
With this caution, yeah, I think this caution puts them in that window. They can make it to the end. It's just, yeah, it's going to get interesting. I say it's going to get busy here. I think there's a lot of that give and take is going to go out the window, and we're going to see a lot of aggressive driving here. But what's going to happen for Nick though? First, he's got to get this restart. Try to see if he can maybe kind of jump the gun on these guys a little bit. Again, he has control over it. It's up to Matt Wagner to try to time this restart and get a good restart on him. But you see Nick DeGroot gets a great start there. We got trouble in the back on the restart. We'll see if that brings out a yellow so far. Yep, caution is back out. And I believe, I'm trying to see who all was involved in that one.
Major accordion. I think it was whoever was behind Kevin Brown. Kevin had to check out pretty bad, and he got run into.
Yeah, let's go back and take a look here. So we'll jump back to the 93 car. Yeah, you see the big accordion there back. You see, yeah, he stacks up there. And then it looks like, I think it's Jim Brooks that gets into the back of the 93. You can see the front wing flying off. You see the chrome green there. It's kind of pretty easy to tell who it is at that point with the contact. But then I believe, yeah, a little further back, as the accordion continued there, you see Todd Merkel. He gets caught up in that as well. I'm trying to see who's up there with him. I think that's James Ledford, possibly. Can't tell yet. Actually, no, it's Bud Steele. I'm sorry. So I say Bud Steele, James Ledford make contact. So now that's a heartbreaker for Kevin Brown. To say he had worked his way all the way back up there, only for that to happen. So unfortunately, you see drivers here waiting for the pace car to come back out and catch the field. I think, I'm sure we're going to see Jim Brooks. He's going to have to pit here, get that front wing replaced, I would suspect. You see Bud Steele, he's got some left front damage to his front wheel there. That's going to be, hopefully got a fast repair remaining in that 6 car.
And look who's up to 11th after all that.
Which I think is going to actually turn into 10th here. That's going to be Jeff Heisong working his way back up slowly but surely here. So the strategy didn't work out, but he's at least going to have another chance to fight after this one. And yeah, you see, it's just heavy damage. Unfortunately, Todd Merkel trying to limp this thing back around to get into the pits there. You see, who's that going around to get the lucky dog? I believe that was... I'm trying to find the car. I think that's David Payne. Yep, that's David Payne. He's going to get back on the lead lap here, Steve. That's a big break for him. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. I think that puts him down from 2 down to just the 1 down, unfortunately, if I'm looking at my ticker right.
Which makes me wonder, because I'm showing Jack Walls and Michael Spell as both being 1 lap down, so...
Yeah, I wonder if maybe they were involved or something happened there, unfortunately. But, yeah, David Payne, he's going to get back to 1 down. Looked like I saw Yari Brupacher, he had to hit the pits as well, so he may have been collected in that a little bit as well. So he's fallen back now to 13th position, last car on the lead lap. And obviously a quick restart, so not a lot of change there. Don Merkel Jr. still in that top 5 position. I'm surprised Jim Brooks isn't pitted, but now that I'm looking at that car, that front wing, I don't see any damage to it, Steve. So he might have just gotten away with this. I thought I saw some of the chrome wing flying, but sometimes there will be that little bit of a, not net code per se, but where something gets damaged, but then it kind of gets itself fixed back up again.
I'm really curious to see if Runkle is going to be able to hold off the people behind him, because he's the last car on old tires. But one of the things with Indy cars, or at least I think he's the last car on old tires, because
he's the last one that stayed out. You were correct.
Yeah, although some of the ones that pitted may not have tires. So, but one thing with Indy cars is sometimes a car with older tires and less fuel is going to be faster than a car with full fuel and new tires. Although if these guys were smart, they didn't. The ones who did pit under the caution didn't fill
Probably
it up
just a
completely.
splash. Yep.
Yep.
And actually, and something that's good to mention too is, I mean, this caution, it's definitely putting all of these drivers. I think now at this point, I don't think there's any saving needed to be done. I think Nick, Matt, Alec, Charles, and Don, I think they can go full rich all the way to the end here. We might even see at some point some of these guys might try burning some fuel off of their cars, with something we've seen before too, where they want to try to get it as light as possible. So let's say right now, lights I think are going to go off this time, Steve, which is going to give us the 1 to go, which will be a restart with 13 to go when they cross the line again. And so like we mentioned, say we still got the 13 cars on the lead lap. Top 5 stayed out under the second 2 cautions ago. And then I'll say pretty much everybody else here has gone ahead and pitted. But like I said, Jeff Heisong, he's right back into this now in that top 10 position. And he does have fresher tires than the rest of these guys, Steve, because he had saved that set of tires. So we'll see. Maybe that plays a role for Jeff. Maybe he can make a big charge here at the end.
Yeah. Good observation. And I would like to say, I think Charles Teed probably gets a perseverance award tonight because as much trouble as he had and as far as back as he was at one point, now he's sitting there in fourth place and a shot at the win. So that's really good. And Matt Wagner probably also gets a perseverance award.
Yeah, it's really good recoveries from them. Like I said, little mistakes, but they were able to recover from them. And I mean, that's what you got to do with these things. You got to stick after it, because you never know when and where things are going to change things up. So see, pace car just ducking off. It's going to put it into the hands of Nick DeGroot. See if he's going to change when he goes this time around. And there he goes. Looks like maybe a little earlier. It looks like a cleaner restart as well up front. And so we'll get things going here again. 13 to go here at Kansas.
And thankfully no accordion that time.
Yeah, I say, but definitely some moves happening quickly. You saw Chris Chabot. He was able to Chris was able to get around Chris Matthews. So that's going to move Chris back up into the 7th position. And so you see the aero push already on these cars. As again, the cold tires, they're going to have to try to build some temps back up. And you see Eric Schaus, he's now going after Chris. I think that caught a lot of drivers off guard. They're just how tight these cars were in the dirty air. They're getting back up to speed.
Well, it's definitely go time now.
Oh, I think Chris Matthews just caught the wall off of 2. You can see, we got contact. You saw kind of an accordion effect. And I think, we got a big wreck here. A lot of cars involved. Unfortunately, Yari Brupacher was caught up in that one. I think Charles Johnson, Jack Walls as well. And I think just everybody kind of stacked up. They saw the 93. He caught the wall off of 2. And then unfortunately, we'll go back and look. But you can see pretty much everybody kind of stacked up right behind it. Let me go back a little further here. Here we go. So we're going to be watching that number 92, the white and green car here coming out of turn number 2. And you see just washes up a little bit here, Steve. Catches the wall just a slight bit. But it just, unfortunately, just so much momentum lost. And actually, while he tries to catch it, you see even Jack Walls caught the wall a little bit in the back there. And then these guys all trying to react to it there. So you see Kevin on the inside. As he sees what's happening, he moves down to the inside, and then Yari tries to get down underneath, and then unfortunately just gets up into the side of that 93 car. And then for Charles Johnson, Jack Walls, just nowhere for them to go. Michael Spell as well as the other car. Actually, I missed there initially. That got caught up in that one. So, I think the cold tires and these restarts with everybody kind of going for everything they've had here, Steve, I think it's starting to catch these drivers just a little bit off. Just they haven't got those temperatures built up like they've been used to.
Yep, and you have the added thing that they can't be conservative now.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I say it's at this point it's go time. I mean, there's no saving anything. And I believe, Steve, with those cars getting caught up in that caution, look at our beneficiary coming around, David Payton. He is back on the lead lap, 2 lucky dogs in a row. That's going to bring him back, and I mean, and it also brings him back up into 13th position here as well, because unfortunately I believe that was I think Yari Brupacher already had used his faster pair, so that was all he had, so he's had to retire, unfortunately. Looks like Charles Johnson as well, so that's the end of their evenings, unfortunately. So yeah, so bad luck for those guys. It's a big break, though, for that 38th, though, of David Payton.
So we're down to 9 laps to go, and this race has been so clean the whole way, and now we're having cautions beget cautions. Hopefully, this will be the last one, and these guys can race it out.
Yeah, unfortunately, and that's kind of the way these races go. Once you get that first one, especially when you get like I said, over halfway through the race or whatever it may be, you kind of run into that occasionally where that happens, and so that's unfortunately been the case here tonight. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, we're gonna be restarting here probably about it'll either be 6 or 7 to go. And like I said, I mean, it's going to be an all-out sprint. I think, obviously, Nick DeGroot's in a really good spot. I think, basically, between him and Matt Wagner, I think if you're those two drivers, you're feeling pretty good about where you are. I think from third on back, it's going to be tough to jump those top two and get into those top two positions, because it's just going to be all about that clean air. We know the low line, the middle line, you can definitely run side by side, but that third line, it's just a little bit too far, I feel like, where you can't really keep the momentum up like you'd want to.
Yeah, the only time that we've seen in situations like this where the person in third is able to make a pass on those guys up front is when they're too wide and the person in third decides to force a 3 wide, which I just don't see happening here. And I don't know if that's the way Alec Coates would drive. It doesn't sound like what I've seen from him before.
Well, I think that if you're Alec, though, I think if you try that, the problem with it, though, is the fact that I think you can try to get up there, but I think what's going to wind up happening, unfortunately, though, is just you're going to wind up having a Charles Teeter or Don Runkle Jr. They're going to move to that middle or bottom lane. They're going to have arrow wash, no doubt, but they're going to have that shorter distance around, and they'll probably be able to at least get side by side with that 37 car.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely risk the chance of losing spots by doing that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So I'm kind of curious. I think Yari had bounced off of Kevin DeBrown, and
Yes.
Kevin hasn't pitted. And
No, he stayed out. The car looks all right. I don't see anything that stands out. It would be on the right side of his car. And I say it may have been what I say we talked about the netcode give and netcode take away. Netcode may have given Kevin a bit of a break there in that 93 car. Say maybe a little bit of sympathy for him, like, hey, you got the raw end of that deal on that last street start, so we'll cut you some slack and let you go. Or it might even be Kevin knows, hey, I'm out of faster pairs. If I pit, they may not let me back out, so I'm just gonna do what I can here. So you see, there goes the green flag. Nick DeGroot again down and away. We got 7 to go there at the line, Steve.
so far, very orderly, single file.
Yeah, now it's all about where does Matt position his car here. You see right now he was actually kind of trying to follow that groove of that 89 car. I really suspected I would see Matt run more of the middle there through 3 and 4, but here comes a big run there down the front stretch. It's going to peak to the middle like we talked about. I think this is going to be where you kind of maybe try to make that over-under move here. Take a big run off, try to cut to the inside, but you see Nick's voicing no time. He goes straight to protect. Matt's going to have to jump back to the top side. As I say, the caution is back out. Trying to see where it may have been. I think it may have been Bud Steele. Let's go back and take a look here. You see Bud there on the top side. Chris Matthews right in front of him. Oh, yeah, Bud just gets into the back, unfortunately, of the 92. Todd Merkel, nowhere for him to go. He gets into the back as well. And I think, I'm not sure. Yeah, you see James Ledford. He's going to get collected as well in the 48 car. So you see, oh, actually, Chris is going to take a really hard shot down into the inside wall there. Lots of body part missing from his car, unfortunately, after that hit as well. So that might wind up doing it, Steve. This could wind up finishing under caution here after that last incident. So we got 5 to go. It could be a one-lap shootout. but it's going to be tight, Steve. I'll say we'll have to see if it's a one-lap shootout or this one may finish under yellow here.
I'm gonna guess it finishes under yellow. And I like to say, when you said there was body parts flying everywhere, I was wondering if maybe we were suddenly on ID channel or something.
And as I just noticed, also you were mentioning Kevin De Brown. Kevin's actually he is now this time pitting. I think though he was the last car on the lead lap, so I think he nothing to lose here. Figures maybe see what he can get repaired and maybe get back out there. So tried staying out, didn't quite pan out for him. But I say he's gonna see maybe he can get something repaired out of that car. There goes Michael Spell. He's gonna get his lap. Get his lap back. So he's gonna be back on the lead lap in the 88 car as well. So that'll put us back to 12 again on the lead lap. Unfortunately for Chris Matthews, I think that was all he had left in that car. So looks like he has unfortunately retired from the event as well.
Yep, sorry to see that.
No, and I mean he had a really good run going. It was kind of one of those things where we've had a lot of mover and shakers in this one, and there was points where he was kind of mid pack, then you saw him towards like the top 5 or so, and then just with the way this race has gone at the last half of it, it's just it hasn't quite gone to plan for him. And of course that last incident, unfortunately, kind of being the final blow for him.
I have a cat on my mouse pad.
Hello, Button. Hopefully Button's enjoying the race as well. Hopefully she's not trying to attack all the cars on your screen.
No, she could care less. Right now she's nagging. This is her nagging for food. She's already done the sit on the coffee table next to me and stare at me. That didn't work.
So this is Button telling the drivers to finish this thing up because I need some dinner.
That's exactly what's going on.
All right, well, we're almost there, Button, I promise. And say there's no green-white checkered attempts, so say we're not going to be going past 133. So worst case scenario, we'll knock these interviews out. We'll get you some food, and all will be well in your world again.
She says thanks.
I don't know, Steve. I think the lights might go off this time around, which would basically make this a one-lap shootout, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to cross here with 2 to go. If the lights go out, we would restart with 1 to go, and that could get very interesting. And then it'd be for Nick DeGroot. It'd be all about just nailing that restart, getting that gap on Matt Wagner. For Matt Wagner, he's going to kind of have to anticipate if that's what we get. So we'll have to be watching the pace car lights here very closely because that could get very intriguing here.
Yep. In fact, I'm watching from Nick DeGroot's cockpit, so I could see what happens.
Well, while you're at it, I'll join the party. We'll hop on board. We'll hop in the roll bar of our race leader in that number 89 of Nick DeGroot. Say he's hoping that those lights stay on. We'll see if that's what we have or not. And they are off, Steve. We are going to have a one-lap shootout. And again, the way this works, though, say there are no green-white checkers. So with this being a one-lap shootout, there will be no caution flag basically thrown. So these guys are going to have to race this back to the end no matter what. So hopefully everybody keeps their heads about them, but this could get very interesting here.
The thing I'd be most worried about, because these guys are, they're going to be super aggressive mode, trying to, if they can gain one more spot, and that could lead to a very bad accordion and an immediate yellow.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
And you're right. I mean, that's exactly right, though, Steve, is the fact that everybody's going to probably try to time it a little bit. I'm sure the admins are kind of saying, hey, okay, yeah, we're going to have a one-lap shootout here. Like you said, let's keep our heads on us. Let's let this play out, and let's not have that accordion restart issue like we've seen. Which unfortunately, that's something you see with these single file restarts. It's unfortunately fairly common. So we're gonna see the pace car is off. Again, Nick DeGroot, he's gonna have to decide: does he go early? Does he go late? What's gonna be the right choice for him? And he is down and away. Matt Wagner is following suit. And it looks like a clean restart through the back as well. So we have 1 to go here at Kansas. See who's going to win the Maconi Setup Shop 200 here at Kansas. So I say Matt's got to try to get everything he can here. Use all the tow he can. He's going to jump to the top here. See if the momentum could carry him as they come out of turn number 3 through 4. Matt's got some momentum, Steve. This could get very close at the line. That was too close for me to call. The ticker says 0.00. It's showing Matt Wagner as our winner. I don't know if you could bring that any closer there at the end there, Steve. So right now it's showing Matt Wagner is the winner of the Maconi Setup Shop 200 here at Kansas.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm looking at, just like slow forwarding it, and it's impossible to tell.
I'll say, I mean, you can see he is going around as if he has won this race, and I don't think he is wrong. I'm sure his spotters told him he's going to loop it around the through the start finish line there. He's going to celebrate with that win, and I'll say that's a way to start things off. I'll say kind of a last minute paint scheme. Also, as he was asking if I had any green white checker paint schemes. So I was like, well, let me get one together real quick, and he's going to put it to good use. He's going to put that thing in victory lane tonight.
Wow, that almost sounds like it might be rigged or something.
I would never. I'm not that talented. And so you got a nice little view there. You got the fireworks going off in the background while he burns this thing. Now he's going to pop that motor, I think, if he keeps that up like he is. But I don't think he's going to be at all concerned about that one. But we'll go back and we'll watch that last restart because, I mean, just that was as close as you could have possibly got there.
That's a very nice looking car.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to switch things over here.
I would just like to give a shout out to Don Runkle.
Yeah, top 5, first start.
Not only great strategy, but being able to hang on and hold that position in the top 5. Damn good job, Don.
Yes, very, very well done. Yep, Matt made sure that motor was not going to go through tech tonight. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll jump back over here. So we're going to start things off with Alec Coates. So let's go ahead, let's hunt Alec down here, see if we can have a word with him. And we also need to see if I can, there's Alec. I'll say hopefully we'll be able to also grab shortly our second place finisher, Nick DeGroot, but we are going to start with Alec. Alright, so we're going to bring Alec Coates in here. Started in the 12th position, finishes in 9th here tonight. Kind of a tale of two races there tonight. Obviously, a lot of green flag racing. A couple times where you really thought there would have been a caution, but it didn't come out. So you guys had to kind of react accordingly and be able to avoid those incidents to get after it. And I want to say you were one of those that was really able to stretch your fuel mileage on those first two runs. What was your thought process on kind of, did you want to try to hustle the car, or were you just going to try to stay kind of in the draft and run that maybe that leaner fuel map to run the fuel numbers to make sure? Because you were close on the edge of being a 3 or 4 stopper tonight.
How's it going, guys? Yeah, I was kind of just hanging back a little bit, just finding a good line that I knew I could run and be safe about it. And yeah, I was definitely saving some. I kind of was running the numbers in my head, and like you said, I made it a few more laps than pretty much everybody else. So I knew I was going to be a little bit better than some. Obviously, those cautions at the end threw a huge kink into it all, but we just kind of stayed out. Me, Charles, and Matt all just kind of stayed out together, and we're riding it out at this point. So sucks we only got a 1-lap shootout in there, but first podium with these guys, and I couldn't be happier with the start to the season.
Alec, do you feel like if those cautions hadn't come out, that you had something for those guys, or you could have won it on fuel mileage?
There was a point in time in the race where I did think I could have possibly won it on fuel mileage. I don't know that I was going to beat Nick or Matt straight up, and honestly, Charles is usually pretty quicker than me anyways. But I'm always around those guys, so I got to give myself a little credit to that. But I think the only way I was going to win that one was some fuel mileage there. If it kept going green, I think I might have been able to make it, and I don't know that too many others would have. So I might have been one of the farther ones up that could have. I know Jeff was another one that was stretching it with me, and he missed pit road, it looked like. So I think I was kind of cycling around to be one of the ones that might have been able to limp it across without pitting it one more time.
I like to say that's a great looking car, by the way.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Wilder Graphics does it for me, and I put some Team Watson Racing colors on it, so figured I'd represent him, so he'll be happy with this result.
Really very nice. Nice job tonight.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so obviously on the pit strategy side of things, like I said, you kind of ran things long. What about the tires? Was that all at all a concern for you guys of not having, like, basically having those three sets for three green flag pit stops? Was that something kind of in your mind as well to kind of make sure, hey, I need to make sure that I can, if I can run this long, maybe I can be kind of at an advantage on the tires, or is pretty much fuel kind of the number one thought for you guys throughout this one?
No, tires definitely was coming into play. We were kind of thinking about it. Like we think we might have got short a set here because it was going to be kind of close. With 40 to go, we took our last set because in our minds we were kind of thinking like if it goes green, we might just have to splash and go, and you don't want to have to take your last set there. So we kind of figured if it's under caution, let's take them. And um, yeah, I think if some of those cautions didn't come out, some of the guys that got them later might have been coming to the front. I know Jeff after he did miss pit road, he put him on pretty late, and he was charging through the field there. I think if we get a little bit of a longer run there, he comes by a lot of us. So tires were definitely a factor as well as the fuel.
Yeah, it was really well done. Like I said, able to kind of work your way up, like I said, through the strategies. And say you were one of the few as well. Say, like you talked about, say a lot of drivers kind of got caught in the on the pit road mistakes on entry exits. So I say you did everything you needed to kind of keep the car in one piece there at the end. So just yeah, great job tonight for that third place. Definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that third place run tonight?
Yeah, first of all, thanks to you guys for putting on a great broadcast. I always take a peek at it, and then everybody at Area 51 and Dark Horse, they've been super helpful with me running my league over at ESRA. That on Thursday nights, a lot of these guys come and run with us. So Charles Teed, he's the one that kind of brought me in over here after he started running with us, and he even paid for my entry fee the first year last year. So this is my I kind of came in halfway through. This is going to be my first full season run with them, so I'm looking to actually get a little more aggressive and try to run for a championship here, and this is a good start to it all.
Yeah, definitely a great way to start things off. Like I said, get that top three finish, and I say obviously a little bit different on the championship format this season. Say we'll be doing the 8 races and a 4 race overall playoff. So, but yeah, great job though tonight, Alec. Enjoy that one, and look forward to catching you in these future weeks.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure talking to you.
All right, as you see, as he hits pit lane, we're gonna jump now over to our second place finisher by probably the slimmest of margins here, Steve. That is going to be Nick DeGroot, and I'll say I'll see if I can figure out how close it was because that was wild. So we'll bring Nick in on here. So I'll say obviously Nick, I'm familiar with you on the Wednesday nights with Dark Horse, but I say obviously a pleasure to have you over here with Area 51 and. So you put on a show right off the bat to show you're going to be one to contend with throughout this season. I mean, take us through the race. It was obviously kind of a tale of two races with green flags in the beginning, cautions at the end. I mean, take us through the first half of that race for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to minimize the mistakes and with all those green flag pit stops. And this is a bit of a treacherous pit road to come on to just with how the banking is and how quickly that pit entry comes up on you. So I just wanted to minimize mistakes, have nice, clean 34 lap runs. That was kind of the number I was going for, and keep it out front. And when the smoke cleared, we got to like 90 laps in, and I'm sitting there in the lead, and I'm feeling pretty confident about my chances. And then the caution comes out and turns everything on its head, of course.
Yeah, that definitely did. And actually, and that's one thing I wanted to ask you about on the had we gone green there all the way through. Would you have been good to go to the end on fuel with your 34 lap strategy, or would you had to kind of go a little bit more aggressive on fuel save?
Yeah, if we didn't have all those cautions at the end, I was like, because I was saving hard before that, I was right on the number, and I probably would have been a little short and would have likely had to let Matt or whoever was behind me by just to be able to save it and get to the end. But I was going to make it. It was just those cautions made it so that I wouldn't have to save it all, and we could just race it out.
Nick, what do you feel like you could have done differently to keep Matt behind you that last lap?
Had it be a 2-lap shootout, but I knew it was going to be difficult. 1 lap, and all he needs at the end, he doesn't need to clear me. He just needs to get that nose right in front of me. And I looked back at the replay, and I mean, I got a pretty good restart. Maybe I could have gone just a little bit later, give him a little less time to wind up his car and get a bigger run. And the main thing I was looking at is I should have probably entered higher in turn 3, just make the distance he had to drive around me a little bit longer. That could have been the 2 1000s, but man, it's hard to complain, with a second place finish, first race out, and so close to the win. But man, I'm excited for next week. Go at it again.
Well, you did damn good tonight. I mean, you were up there the whole time, and like you said, a big part of the goal was to minimize mistakes, and it seemed like pretty much everybody else that was up there competing with you had a mistake or a misfortune happen to them, and you just kept it right all night.
Yeah, it was really a perfect race in the end. We didn't really put a foot wrong at all. It was great.
Yeah, it was really well done, and yeah, like you say, I mean, I'll say again, I know what you can do. I know your talents on these open wheels and iRacing in general. So, I mean, to come that close to winning on your first go around, that's pretty tough to do. I think I'll say one of the drivers that couldn't make it tonight, Henry Bennett. It's like he'd be one of those that's also in that similar category. So, some pretty good companionship to be with in that one. So. Yeah, just great job though tonight, Nick. Like I said, just a couple thousandths off that win. I mean, I think that's probably the closest finish we've ever had here at Green White Checkered, or even Area 51 also. So, just great job tonight, and definitely want to give the floor any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that run this evening.
Well, I mean, if that is the closest finish, I'm real honored to have been part of it. I mean, I wish I was at the other end, but it's cool to be a part of it either way. And yeah, just got to thank Factory Back Motorsports, Covenmore.com, Motorsport.com, Cowboy Shit, and all these other guys that just support this team. And we're a little one-car operation in this league, so I'm the only one holding the flag. So hopefully we can get to victory lane sooner rather than later.
Yeah, awesome job. And don't so you got a pretty good crew with you tomorrow night over at Dark Horse. So yeah, don't beat up on us too much over there, though. All right.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that. Henry's my competitor here, but he's going to be my teammate in that. So that's a heck of a guy to have on your side. Plus George and Covey. It's going to be a great season, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, enjoyed us. I love broadcasting with you. Gonna look forward to racing with you tomorrow night as well. So yeah, great job though, Nick, and look forward to catching the remainder of the season here.
Absolutely, thank you guys.
Yep, great job.
All right, so that leaves one left to talk to, and that's going to be a very happy Matt Wagner in that number 11 machine. So we'll jump back over here to the finish here. And I don't know how it could have been that close. Like, that's just near impossible to be able to do that. And I'm going to try to see if I can time it here, Steven, so I can pull up at the line I'll try to stop it once they hit the line to show how close it was. But obviously, Matt, so you had a couple opportunities to restart behind Nick there to try to figure out what to do on those restarts. Did you figure anything out, or was it just kind of just got it just right at the right time there at the end?
You got a time hit when he goes, when I go. I was a little bit delayed. Luckily, I got the run off the back stretch because he moved toward down low, and I was able to move up just a hair and still have that huge run coming. And he dove to the bottom of the track, and I dove with him. And luckily, wow! I mean, the finish is. I look at the replay, and it's just unbelievable. To win like that, I've never gotten a win like that ever in my life. That's just incredible.
We couldn't tell. I mean, we looked at it from different angles, and it was impossible to tell which one of you guys finished ahead of the other.
I screamed and yelled over the radio. It was wow. I'm just in shock. That's all I can say.
Well, of course, we appreciate that you were driving the green, white, checkered colors. So that was an extra bonus for us. I have a question about the caution with, I guess it was around 40 to go when you pitted, I think. If we hadn't had those last two cautions, because I know how great you are at saving fuel, would you have been able to make it?
Very, very close. I was about I've been 0.2 gallons short coming to the line. So I don't know.
Could Could you have disciplined yourself to save that?
I could have let off. I was using the draft when Nick and everybody else was running up toward the front. I wasn't even pushing the cart at all, hard
Yeah,
at all. So max fuel save.
yep, we were wondering about that because I think you were sitting back in maybe 5th place at that point.
Oh, just to bring you guys' attention, what happened earlier in the race. I ran out of fuel. Had my wake jacker come to the pits way too high, and I was going to spin it and hit the wall. If I didn't, if I would have stopped, I would have hit the wall. So
Okay, so that was the first green flag stop, right?
that was the second one.
Second one, because maybe that was the one I was thinking of, but there was one where it looked like, and maybe it was the second one. It kind of looked like you weren't going to pit, and then at the last second you decided you were going to, and you tried to pull it to the left, and you realized you weren't going to make it, and then I think you ran out of gas or started running out of gas on the backstretch.
Yeah, I looked at my weight tracker and it was like plus 12, and I was like, no, I'm going to loop it. Stop, keep going, because I don't want to loop it. Once your day was going to pretty much over if you loop it.
Well, that was obviously a good decision, and for you to overcome the obstacles that you had tonight and win this thing, impressive.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Steve.
You're welcome.
Yeah, very very well done, Matt. I'll say that to come back and saying it was a saying. I know Nick had mentioned too, a very difficult pit road to get onto, and so you were by far not the only one to get bit tonight on pit road. We saw it by a couple of drivers tonight as well. So great job though. I mean, to recover from that, say obviously put yourself in position at the end to make something happen to get in position at the end, and then yeah, I mean just be able to do that restart exactly like you had to, put your car in that right position, and yeah, just really really well done. I would say it was a lot of fun to watch, and yeah, just an awesome job, man.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
So Kyle, does he get a bonus for winning with our colors?
That's a good question. I'll have to talk to my financial advisor on that one. So I'll get back to you on that, Matt. We'll find out what's going on the financial fronts of these things. But yeah, no, just in all seriousness, yeah, just great job, Matt. Saying I know obviously we'll be getting to race tomorrow night with each other as well, so that'll be a lot of fun to do also. But before I let you go though, we got to give you the floor. So I know you've got plenty of thanks and shouts to give for that win this evening.
Yes, I do. HyperX are pretty on good headsets. Maconi Setup Shop. Thank you for sponsoring this race. Visit www.maconisetupshop.com for all the details. Also, Green White Checker. What am I forgetting? Butt Kicker. All you guys, thank you so much. And Nick, thank you for racing McLean at the end. We put on a hell of a show. Like I said, if I would have finished second there, I wouldn't be mad at all.
You guys both, I mean, you raced each other clean the whole time, and there was a lot of swapping spots at one point in the race between you guys and between other people, and it was a typical race that we have in this league, almost, well, for really the whole way. A couple more yellows than I would have expected, but I mean, it was very clean. Everybody raced each other with great respect, and it was just some mistakes that brought out the yellows.
Yeah, I know. I've heard have to go back and review since I'm the admin now, so I'm the enforcer. So, guys, I really appreciate y'all putting on the broadcast. It was fun. I really enjoyed that race. I had a hell of a time.
We enjoyed it too.
Yeah, well done, Matt. Enjoy it before you have to get back to the admin duties of, like I said, reviewing the race. But enjoy listening for sure now. So my cat congratulates you as well as I'm trying to talk. But yeah, great job though, Matt. Well earned, and yeah, looking forward to seeing. And actually, I think this also locks you into the Final Four playoff as well. So you don't have to stress about the remaining 7 races. Let's say you've got your spot locked in with the remaining 7 drivers yet to be determined for that Final Four shootout for the Season 8 championship.
I'm looking forward to it, guys. Actually, there's one thing I'm not looking forward to is the Henry Bennett's going to be back next week, and he's going to rain terror on everybody. So he's good competition. I love him to death. So guys, have a good night.
You too, Matt.
Yeah, congrats, Matt. Enjoy it.
Always.
Congrats, buddy.
All right, Steve, that is our race winner in that number 11, Matt Wagner. So I'll say before we go any further, though, we got to go ahead and show our final results for tonight. All right, so you see the results here up on the screen. So Matt Wagner, yep, and indeed 0.02 of a second over Nick DeGroot there between the two of them. Alec Coates in third, Charles Steed fourth, Don Runkle Jr. in fifth. Eric Schaus brings home a sixth position. Jim Brooks seventh. Jeff Heisong recovers all the way back up into eighth. And we mentioned Kevin DeBrown, unfortunately, up and down night for him. Unfortunately, finishes in ninth. Still a good result, but I'm sure not what he was hoping for. David Payton finds a way to bring it home back into the top 10. And the remainder of the lead lap cars, you got Michael Spell 11th, Chris Jabot in 12th, and then 13th through 18th. You see there Benjamin Combs, Jack Walls, Todd Merkel, Chris Matthews, James Ledford, and Bud Steele. And then the remainder of the finishers, not the nights they're hoping for either. Charles Johnson, Yari Brupacher, Craig Forsyth, Jeff Maconi, Steve Gottschalk. Good job, Steve. Got 23rd.
Thanks.
And it shows Kyle Ramsey, David Clare. Unfortunately, David was not able to make it tonight, but at least was able to get in the server though. But yeah, and like Matt mentioned though, really want to thank Jeff Maconi sponsoring tonight's event, the Maconi Setup Shop 200 here at Kansas. It was a lot of fun to be able to put on that show. Unfortunately, didn't get a chance to interview with him during before the race. Things got a little bit busy. But definitely, hopefully have some more opportunities to work with him and work with him. And like Matt mentioned, MaconiSetupShop.com. And like I said, it's not just setups if you want to go fast. So you can do setups for if you have your own leagues that you want to do, say maybe run reduced fuel setups, things like that, like we do over here at Area 51. He can make custom setups for you for all types of tracks and cars. So definitely check them out on Facebook as well. Jeff, again, thank you so much for putting this one on. It was a great race. Hopefully you get to watch this one back and enjoy that one. But yeah, I mean, Steve, a tale of two races, and I don't think you can ask for a closer finish than we just got there tonight.
No, it was a great finish, and in some respects, I'm glad to see that Matt pulled it out because it gets a little teasing him about always coming in second.
Yeah, I'll say it's a good way to start things off. Like I said, locks himself into the 4-race playoff with the 8 drivers, so he's got 7 people to hang out with once we find out who those remaining 7 will be after the next 7 races. So yeah, and for us, I'll say, Steve, as always, thank you so much. Looking forward to season 8. So I know the break was nice to have for both of us, but definitely enjoy being in the booth with you, and looking forward to those remaining 7.
Yeah, likewise, Kyle. Always enjoy doing this with you, and I needed the break, so I'm glad that we actually had a couple weeks off.
So that'll be it for us this evening. Thank you again for watching. We'll be back on Thursday night for the Area 51 Xfinity Series Premier Series season opener at Kentucky. So definitely check that one out as well. So until then, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And until then, have a good night.
Yeah, good night, everyone.